Hey, so whether this is your first impression of me or you're just a random viewer that just clicked on this video for whatever reason, I welcome you to another one of these videos where I just talk about things. And if you just so happen to be a subscriber that subscribed to me, but you also forgot that I exist, then I don't blame you because the last video that I published was 2 months ago. Unwillingly, by the way, like I didn't ask for that to happen. And you're probably wondering why it's been so long since I published a video, an AMV or some sort, or just any kind of video. And my answer to that is cartoonishly simple, and it's because of life. Yeah. Now keep in mind, it's not the only thing that kept me away from the channel for so long. There's another huge annoying factor that's the main point of the video. But I feel like I should say this, that it is important to say that yes, this is the reason why I've been gone for so long. And it was just one of those situations where it was just simply out of my control. Can do much about it, can say much about it. Just had to experience it from that point forward. And it's gotten better now, but it has interfered with my plans originally. And sometimes it's just life 101. Things just happen unexpectedly. You don't expect it to happen. You know, Stuff like that happens all the time. And you're unsure about how to balance this with the stuff that you've been doing. That's basically what I've been dealing with. Like the whole time I've just been dealing with this situation. But like I said, it's better now, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, this is one of the reasons why I've been gone for so long. One of the reasons, at least. Like, how this, life stuff goes with, YouTubers not being, as active on the internet as they've been, you know how it goes. It's assuming you've been through what I've been through, of course, or just anything in general when it comes to life. So, moving on to the second reason why I've been gone for so long is because of these two things. Yeah, I'm not even joking. These two things right here I see now were a big problem for me way, back then, like a month ago. And back then I didn't think anything else of it. But I didn't foresee it, causing so many problems. But now I do, and looking back on it, I'm mad about it, and I'm gonna explain why. So for starters, I should say that I don't hate the DLC itself or what everything that it includes in there. I think everything is fine in terms of a DLC. I mean, it gave us what we were looking for. It gave us everything that we were expecting. The thing that I hate about the DLC though is how the way it got introduced and how the way they released it. Because as you all know, Xenoverse 2's DLC 16 is the weirdest DLC to ever exist. Because it's the first time that they ever separated the free update from the paid update in a month and a half time span, I think. And naturally, this threw everybody else in the modding community off because it's like, okay, well, what does this mean for the modding community? And so, after some time had passed, Slow eventually made his video saying that, hey, by the way, I was in contact with Eternity, and Eternity is basically saying that he's gonna wait until the paid update comes around, so that way he doesn't have to update the game twice.
Currently, right now, the state of modding is in a weird place, okay? Eternity, the person that normally updates, the Xenoverse 2 patcher and allows us to get mods working, unfortunately, he's pretty much put out a statement that he will not be doing that until DLC Pack 16 actually drops. So when the actual DLC, full DLC drops, that's whenever he's going to, get the patcher ready and everything.
And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to, update the patcher when everything isn't included in the DLC already. So it makes sense to wait. So me in my personal situation, because I was already trying to get started on things before the DLC even came out. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to work on things on this version of the game so that way I can, get this out quicker, get AMVs out quicker and such. Because at that time, it had been 4 months since the last time I made another one of those videos. So after some time of experimenting with a bunch of things, I eventually ran into an infinite loading screen issue. Now, for those that don't know what an infinite loading screen is, essentially what it is when you're when you're trying to fight someone in Xenoverse 2 or try to fight the CPU in a local match, after you select your characters, you'll take you to the screen before the loading screen where it shows a blue box and a red box, and you're the blue box and the other person is the red box, and it shows the characters falling and showing their idle animations of showcasing who chose what character. A loading screen is essentially that, but like the characters don't like fall in the boxes. It's just the red and blue box, like just next to each other, and the characters don't ever fall ever. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. If it doesn't, if it just doesn't work. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna verify the integrity of the game files because I was told that's what you're supposed to do whenever you run into that kind of situation. Like you just go into Steam and verify the integrity of the game files, and things should be good to go. And that's exactly what I did. Closed the game out, went into Steam, and I did exactly that. Well, come to find out that I didn't know that even if you do have it as to where the game only updates when you open the game on Steam and you verify the integrity of the game files the game still updates. Now keep in mind that I was supposed to stay on the latest version of the patcher that had the up-to-date things that needed to make the game work and if you wanted to play with mods. And the free update was separate from the paid one. In Eternity, remember, he wanted to wait until the paid version came out. But during this time, the paid version of the DLC wasn't out yet. It was a month and a half away. So I was just like, yikes, man. Like, can we not do this right now? That would be great if we cannot do this right now. So I paused the update that was happening on Steam. And I was like, okay, that was scary. But I'm just going to go back into the game, through the bin folder, and I'm just going to open the game again, and everything should be fine. I'm thinking everything's going to be okay. I'm opening the bin folder, going through the program files, the common app, if you mod Xenoverse, you know what I'm talking about. Well, when I tried to open the game through the bin folder, as I opened the bin folder, I noticed that the prompt to open the game is not there. Just gone. It's reduced to atoms. Like it didn't exist. It was erased. And I was like,
Why?
so, like, why? And my hunch for that being is that the game, like Steam was in the middle of an update and I paused it. And I'm assuming that, Steam was like, oh, well, I'm not done with this update yet. So I'm just going to take away the prompt to open the game because I'm not done adding all the things that I'm supposed to add in here. And so it just took the prompt away. And I was like, okay, that's good. That's wonderful. That's just awesome. Great. And so naturally I had to wait until the patcher and the update came around. And eventually I did. I was waiting for, those two things to come around, and they did come around eventually. And then eventually down that point in the timeline, I was like, okay, well, now I'm able to do the things that I want to do, right? I'm able to start on things. I'm able to get the next AMV started. I took more detours, than I expected to, but I'm back on working on it now. And I thought that, and then the second I thought that, life just said,
Blue 42 said, what the hell?
So coming to the end of all of it, you have to ask yourself, like, what went wrong to the point where, like, it had to get delayed for some reason? That's a question that, like, most people, or like at least some people, are asking. And where's the answer to that equation? We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. Okay. It's just a giant mystery. Only the people who worked on the DLC knows. My takeaway from it, though, is that if they were going to take a month and a half to delay the DLC, I feel like they should have introduced like something new, or like just big changes and stuff like that. Because when the DLC actually dropped, it was things that we already knew that were going to be in the game before. We already knew that Beast and the two Piccolos were going to be in the game. We already knew that from the trailer. And even if Beast Gohan wasn't even in the trailer in the first part, when the free update came out, we already knew he was coming. And it's not like, after they released the paid update, they were like, oh, yeah, there's different unique hairstyles for the Beast Awoken, the new Awoken that we just recently introduced into the game. Or it's not like they fixed like some, broken moves in the game and just made some overall game balances and stuff like that, or just fixing the netcode in general. It's just generic stuff that we see in a DLC like all the time when a new DLC comes out. It's like, oh, there's new characters, there's new parallel quests, there's new skills from those said characters. And if they need to, they can do like they can do like different stories and different scenarios and different paths to take on that story. You know, all that stuff that we've seen like over the years, ever since they did Xenoverse 2 DLC, right? In which, by the way, I feel like I had the gut feeling that they weren't going to do anything new, because I mean, it's this company. I mean, you already know, if you played this game for a considerable amount of time, then you know what I'm talking about. They do introduce some new things, and they have done it from time to time, but it's not very often that they do, which is why I wasn't expecting it. So, but at least they should have did something with it, though. You know what I mean? Like, they should have like at least fixed some issues. At least they could have just fixed some things that needed to be addressed. But no, they didn't even bother adding new hairstyles into the game, or maybe at least base Gohan hairstyle for CACs and stuff, and not wigs. They could have maybe introduced, like, I don't know, a lot of different things that people have been asking for in the community, like Hit's outfit, you know, more outfits for our characters and our CACs and stuff, for unique clothing for our other CACs, like the Mekians and Majins and Friezas and stuff like that. They could have added more things into the game, because the same clothing that we had in the game 6 years ago is still the same clothing we have now. The same thing for the accessories, the same thing for the customization for CACs and stuff like that. Like, they haven't made those things better in that whole month that they've been, you know, working on this DLC or anything of the sort. And I feel like they should have did something like that, because it's the first time that they took like a hiatus, like longer time to make a DLC. So you would think that they would do something like that, but they just didn't. And that's the problem that I have with it, because it's like they should have like fixed some things if they weren't going to introduce anything new. That's just my takeaway from it. You know, and you could say that, oh, you know, it's asking for too much and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, it could potentially be that, but at the same time, these things have been needing to be changed for a long freaking time, and it's just been overdue for like the past 6 years. I mean, like, we've been wanting new clothing for like all of the different races in the game, like all the different unique clothing that comes with different races and stuff like that. We've been wanting that. We've been wanting to change the Goku Gi on our CACs the same way that we can change the Goku Gi colors on custom Mentor Goku. We've been wanting to do that for this entire freaking time, but for some reason in that month and a half change, like, they haven't done that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they should have at least did that by some degree, but they just didn't. And I would have liked for that to be the case, but that just wasn't the case. And if we had known that they were going to do something like that, I would have been like, well, you know, you should have just waited for the free. We should have just waited for the free update to come around, and then introduced the paid update and the free update at the exact same time. Now, could there have been discrepancies that, you know, could have delayed the DLC that we didn't know about? Yes, I'm aware of that. But I feel like they should have just waited until like all of it was done, so that way we don't have to wait. Because it's not like we don't know how to wait. We're waiting for new info for the new Budokai Tenkaichi 4 stuff right now. And if there's a new Xenoverse DLC coming out like in the next few months, you know, that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're waiting to get more intel on that. That really just sounded like a rant. I mean, it kind of was, but that was just really explaining like how I really felt about that delay, and how they could have just fixed anything that could have just made the game more playable, or like just, you know, general things that people have been asking for an extremely long time. But again, that's just all my take. You don't have to agree if you don't need to, or if you don't want to. That's the better way to say that. So, as we reach the end of the video, I would like to say that I'm sorry for the lack of uploads. I know that most of the things that I said were out of my control, and the thing that I was talking about the most was mostly technical issues. And I know that has a tendency to happen when it comes to content creation in general. You know, sometimes it's not always sunshines and rainbows. There's always obstacles that you have to go through or always have to face when it comes to making videos and such. And I'm aware of that, but I still feel like I needed to explain why I've been so absent and why the silence has been so loud. Because I feel like you deserve that much, especially, you know, after viewing all of my videos, despite me being gone for however long I was gone for. So I feel like you deserve that much. I would also like to say that I will keep up the content creation thing, because like, I do like making things for people to see and stuff like that. and seeing an immense amount of support for all the things that I do just for fun or just on the side, just helps me, continue to do this as a hobby, and maybe eventually a job one day, who knows. But, anyway, thanks for watching through if you make it all the way, if you did make it all the way to the end. And I will see you in the next one. Whatever the next one is. I'm not sure at this point, but we'll see what the future holds. With that being said, I will see you next time. Take care.